Hi, welcome to CYC's Poets Corner. My name is Barbara, and this is the show where poets and singers come to share their talent to glorify God. Today we have with us...
Hi, I'm Marina. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Marina, and you guys might know Marina from The Marina Show on CYC. So today Marina is going to be sharing with us a poem. And what is it about, Marina?
My poem is about poverty. It's called Poverty is the Weapon of Mass Destruction.
And what drove you to write this poem?
I went on a mission trip to Bolivia, and I realized how some people in the world live and the struggles that they have to go to or through, and what we take for granted. And so the poem is about me trying to find the weapon of mass destruction, which is always conveyed as a chemical weapon to destroy lives. But what I discover in the poem as an agent trying to find the weapons of mass destruction is what in fact is ruining lives, is poverty, because it's ruining dreams.
That's really interesting, and I understand where you're coming from, because I feel when we think that something is ruining the world, we think, we think big, we think like terrorism, we think stuff that, like, just mind-blowing things, but it's simple things. Just giving someone food, you could save lives from that, and I also think that's a really good point you brought up, that it is a weapon of mass destruction. Okay.
Yes, it is, Barbara. You're absolutely right. And it's about finding things that are so subtle that slowly kill us, instead of finding these things that end our lives so quickly. And it's about poverty is something that affects you regardless of your color, regardless of your age, regardless of your race. So that's what the poem is about, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it.
I think, do we cut it?
I don't know.
I'll just say something. I think something we should also note is that although there's poverty in the world, people are poor from money and food. They don't have money. They don't have sufficient nutrition for themselves. I think it's important to note that we ourselves, although we're from Toronto, we have, we've got our food, we've got our cars, we've got everything we need. Mm-hmm. I think we're still poor in our spirits, so I think it's also important that we have to take a different perspective on the poem and apply it to ourselves, and not, when we think of poor, instantly make the relation to someone who's in a third world country, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's not just a financial, substantial poverty. It's the poverty of the spirit that we should always look to quench. I agree with you, Barbara.
Amazing, and we're looking forward to hearing your poem, Marina. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara, for having me.
Thank you, Marina.
Dear Mr. President, this is Agent Gurgis, badge number 365247. I'm writing to inform you that I have completed the mission ordered on January 13th, 2012, exactly 365 days prior to the receipt of this message. As per your orders, Mr. President, I have located the weapons of mass destruction on planet Earth. Mr. President, in my search for the weapons of mass destruction, I have started my mission 35 degrees latitude, 32 degrees longitude, the coordinates of Israel, Iraq, and Libya. And I've even proceeded 15 degrees longitude to Iran, Mr. President. As per your orders, Mr. President, I have located significant amounts of uranium, nuclear bomb explosives, and toxic gases capable of disseminating human life within 2.1 seconds of their dissemination. I have gathered intelligence on all these sources and have codified them for you in document number 29743. Which will be delivered to the White House in approximately 4 hours. Signed, Agent. Mr. President, I can't do this. You asked me to find the weapons of mass destruction, but they are buried miles beneath the ground, ticking silently, working quietly, and doing nothing invisibly, killing no one relentlessly. Mr. President, the truth is 93.3 million people in the world are living with HIV. AIDS, Mr. President, will make 16.6 million children in the world orphans, Mr. President. Mr. President, allow me to set the precedent, because the truth is we're living in the present tense, and though uranium can set my lungs on fire 1,000 years from now, the truth is half the world won't live to die because humanity is killing itself slowly. There is one weapon of mass destruction, Mr. President, and the trigger has already been pulled. It's erupted into the universe and touched the ceiling of the world. It isn't killing people in 2.1 seconds, Mr. President. It's killing them slowly. The weapon of mass destruction is poverty. I haven't seen uranium corrode human skin, but I've seen a child's bare feet on the street she calls her home. I haven't seen poisonous gas take away human breath, but I've left bereft with breath at the sight of a 4-year-old girl walking home unfed in the dead of night. She lays her young flesh and tiny bones on the street corner to rest, lays quietly as she is the prey of stray, drunken men. Mass destruction is in the silence of her compliance, in the fact that the child has surrendered to a bleak reality. Mass destruction, if she closes her eyes, she is robbed of the right to dream, Mr. President. You fear nuclear gas will kill your citizens in the deep of their sleep, but I urge you to heal the broken dreams of children who cannot escape their own realities. Dreams of children who weave their unfinished stories, their baby fingers too small for adult needles. And as they fight to sow seeds of hope in soils of sorrow, there is never enough fabric. Mr. President, you're in a skyscraper decoding papers with the codes of vapors capable of inciting nuclear warfare. But to be fair, it's the paper that scares me. Houses made of paper, to be precise, slices of cardboard that can fall apart in 2.1 seconds after the sky releases the gentlest rainfall. Paper houses collapsing, flooding, soaking in water, an alleged source of human life, causing gangrene like a fiend, drowning human life with the gentlest rainfall. Mr. President, Section 7 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms guarantees every citizen the right to life, liberty, and security. Mr. President, in a lawless world, children are pleading for life, dying for security, bereft of liberty, and so they beg at the street corners for pieces of bread, not knowing if tomorrow they'll be starved or fed. Mr. President, you are preparing for the next decade, but the promise of tomorrow for 30 million people is volatile. Right now, Mr. President, a mother lifts her eyes to the sky and prays that her children pass before she does. If she is to the first to go, tomorrow she will not know if they will be starved or fed. If she is the first to go, tomorrow she will not know if they will be starved or fed. Like a ticking time bomb, tomorrow can shatter her dreams and pollute the air with muted screams and silent worries, poisonous like toxic gas. Uranium, bombs, chemical explosives, AIDS, hunger, poverty. I have located the weapons of mass destruction in 42 countries of the world, located 5 degrees south of the equator. Mr. President, I have found nuclear weapons in 7 different countries, but I have found mass destruction in 42 countries, including Zimbabwe, Congo, Rwanda, Bolivia, and Haiti. It has spread on black skin like chocolate and poured down on white skin like milk. It has suffocated grown men and burned rose into the cheeks of children. Mr. President, poverty is capable of terminating human dreams within 2.1 seconds of its dissemination. I resign my badge, Mr. President. Badge number 365247 is now committed to spending 365 days, 24/7, to burying the weapons of mass destruction. Thank you, Mr. President. Agent Gerges.
And today, I'll actually be talking about the poem that I'm reciting for the show. It's called Drowning, and it regards someone who has tried to face life on their own without Christ, okay? And they've just been blackened by Satan's whip, and they've just been tortured by him. And eventually this person comes in a dream and hears God, and God is talking to the girl and telling her, you know, I'll take care of you, just let me into your life, kind of thing. And I think in our days, it's so important to realize that we can't face life on our own. And it's never too late to turn back to God. That's what my poem is really trying to convey. I don't want anyone thinking, you know, I've done this, I'm not worthy enough to talk to God, because the devil often puts in our minds so many things that we just think that we're not capable, or we're not we're too weak, we're too this, we're too that. We always try to make excuses for ourselves. So what my poem is trying to tell us is that God is always waiting for you open arms. He's always knocking at your door, and all you have to do is just open it for him, and he's waiting there for you. I hold my breath as I take a plunge into this deep blue sea called life, and just hope everything goes right. But tonight I rest my fight, because life has become a collection of jigsaw pieces that I just couldn't put together. Nobody knows the trials I've faced or faced the trials I've known. I've been blackened by Satan's whip, and his tight grip made me drip drops of sin. So before I knew it, I was drowning in an ocean of transgression. Although down below it's too hot to smile, my dark master manages to flash a grin at my every denial of my true king. Wounds on my back from every lash of that leather whip, and like the Fugees, he was killing me softly. And when my lips utter to him start to stutter, 'cause I'm crying in the dark and simply don't know where to start in this plea to be released from these iron fetters. My knees become weak when I seek to call his name, because you see, my sins have dressed me in a garment of shame, bending over back like a tree in strong winds, cheating on my true love. I cannot bear to continue this affair with the devil, 'cause let me put it this way, if my heart were an external body part, he would have took it and tore it apart. 'Cause really Shakespeare said it best, to thine own self be true, 'cause you could trust yourself best. And too long I've been true to the devil. And when I was weak, I felt a gentle grace, so to speak, across my cheek, and heard a voice speak. Daughter, I think you've forgotten me as you were rotten with the enemy. I have seen beauty in you when I created you in the womb. Man was dirt, so I held you in my hands and infused life into you with one single breath. You see, within the deep lines of my hands, I have inscribed you. And I was rejected, my darling, so you could be accepted, but you risked an eternal life for the quick taste of a cheap lie, and you continue to sip from Satan's bitter cup in obliviousness, that your life would become total recklessness as he spoon-fed you sugar-coated sin. I gave you loaves of my word, but you were getting lost, munching on only crumbs, and praying for my will was a whole bunch of empty words, 'cause you were accepting only yours. See, in the dark you humans see nothing, but for me, that's when I see your true colors. I, my daughter, am heavenly and destiny. I am Father, creator and sustainer, lover of your soul, comforter, mender, healer, helper, and composer. Your life in me is ready to be composed of highs and lows. If you let me, I will put a sweet melody in your soul that will leave you whole to endure all the days of your being. I know your heart has been broken, but if you keep your eyes fixed on me, I can fix us. And I replied to him, I'm too unlawful to be your lawfully wedded wife. And he said to me, you are the reason I bore the scorn, crown of thorns on my head, cross of wood on my back, and only you on my mind. Wounded for your transgression and crushed for your iniquities. In your mind you began to think, hey, I've got time. How long have people said these are the last days and we're still here living? But you cling like lint to the very things of this earth. I said, you cling like lint to the very things of this earth. And I ask you one thing, let go. The night is almost gone, and in not too long the day of salvation will be here. So remove your dark deeds like dirty clothes and put on the shining armor of right living. His touch on my cheek slowly fades. So remove your dark deeds like dirty clothes and put on the shining armor of right living. His touch on my cheek slowly faded away, and just after that I knelt on my knees that used to be weak and called, Father. I remember when you used to take my breath away. You are not only the air I breathe, but the lungs I breathe with. Every inhalation of breath is a revelation that the Holy Spirit dwells within. And without you, there is an emptiness in my heart that can be only fulfilled by your sacredness. My lostness in this earth causes my lungs to squeeze tight, to gasp and to wheeze, lost and confused at where I should be. And that's what I mean when I said you are breathtaking. Vindicating my soul, you have pulled me out of the hole I was dug into. I know that when I sin, I can just turn back to you. My strength alone lies within you. And he replied, my arms are always open to you. Beautiful are you, there is no flaw in you.